I am Dave, the Amateur Magus. On this channel I talk all about the mechanics behind ceremonial magic, occultism, esotericism, and the mechanics behind everything you can find within a dusty old grimoire. On today's episode we will be talking about the go-to spirits for wisdom and magic in general. If you enjoy my content, subscribe to us over on YouTube and share this out with whoever you think might enjoy it. And if you really enjoy my content, please subscribe over on Patreon. And there is a link to a community Discord down in the description below. And if you are already watching this on Patreon, you have my thanks for your continued and ongoing support. So what I mean by the gods of wisdom and magic is that we're going to be talking about 5 entities, more or less. There's actually a 6th one in here. We'll get to it when we get to it. And these are going to be all of the more or less chokmatic magical entities. Chokmatic entities have a few things in common, and these are going to be the primary, I want hidden secret magic and I want to know hidden secret things, so I am going to these entities. Now, some of these will fit the bill more than others. These are of different pantheons and different traditions, and I will say that some of these entities are more popular than others. Some of these entities are more old than others, and some of these entities are more looked upon fondly by certain other groups. So we're going to start with the one that is the most popular on the internet, and then we're going to go to the most popular one from antiquity. So let us begin with the goddess Hekate herself. The goddess Hekate is the Greek goddess of magic. She is known for being many things, including the torchbearer, and she is the goddess of the triple crossroads. In this case, the triple crossroads means the terrestrial, the aerial, and the aquatic. So she is the goddess of all 3 of the domains. You know, we have earth, sea, and sky, and Hekate rules all 3 of those. Being a crossroads goddess, she is one of the more important entities for getting your magic to function, and she is said to be a friend of sorcerers, witches, and magicians. Hekate is an interesting goddess. From my experience and from what I have seen the experience of others be, Hekate is very, very, very active. Hekate is very active when it comes to when she wants to work with you, she will make herself known. A while ago, I was ordering some incense, and I was ordering some incense for a very long operation I was doing at the time, and I went and I ordered this incense from some Etsy store, and I like this Etsy store, so I'll probably be buying it again. But this was my first purchase, and then I open the bag, and I see that my order is there with all of the stuff that I had ordered, but there was an extra little baggie in that bag, and that baggie was a free sample of Hekate incense. This is the kind of thing that I mean when I say that Hekate does some things that are more active than you would assume if you're working with angels. Angels, unless it is God's divine plan, will not really reach out to you, but Hekate might. I typically find that this happens for people who are active in their magical practice and for whom magic is an active part of their spiritual journey. For me, magic is very part of my life and part of my spiritual journey. This channel wouldn't be here if it wasn't, so you guys know that. But Hekate also likes to, show up. My relationship with Hekate is very strange. It is probably the strangest out of all of the entities I have worked with and called up. Hekate is the one who kind of cycles in and out of my active spiritual life the most. That being said, Hekate is not usually my first go-to, but I figured I'd mention her here because if I look on Instagram and TikTok and I go see what gods people are working with, usually it's going to be some form of a love goddess and then Hekate shortly after, because everyone wants love and everyone wants to be good at magic. Because we're occultists and we do witchcraft and we do sorcery and we do all kinds of things in the magical world, and Hekate is the goddess of that, and Hekate kind of has dominion over all of the Western world that is an offshoot of the Greeks, so that's why she is high up on the list, so to speak. The second god we will be talking about is going to be Odin. Odin is going to be the wisdom god and the god you want to go for knowledge if you are interested in working with the Norse pantheon. Now, Odin is going to be the Allfather. He's going to be the head of the pantheon, which is the only head of the pantheon we have in this entire listing. But I would also say that Odin is probably one of the more interesting of this entire lineup. Odin is going to be the source of rune magic, and of all of the people on this list, of all of the entities on this list, Odin is going to be from the most combat and conflict-oriented paradigms. Norse mythology and the Norse tradition as a whole has very much of a warrior mentality to it, and Odin is going to have that in spades. He is the one who rules over Valhalla anyways, so he is the one who, if you didn't think Odin was interested in conflict or combat, he's the one who rules Valhalla. Yeah, Valhalla was made for him, so keep that in mind. He's going to be the most combat-oriented of these. I don't really have much to say on Odin other than keep that in mind. He is the source of rune magic, so if you wanted to work with Odin for that, I would assume that he would be able to help you with that, and he will probably require you to learn through conflict. More of a trial and error, if we're putting it lightly. Next up, we have Raziel. Raziel is my favorite of these entities on this list. I worked with Raziel the most, and depending on the version of the story, Raziel always has a book. He and one more entity on this list are known for having a really big book that they carry around, but specifically, Raziel's book is from all of the things that God says. He hears all of the secret knowledge, and Raziel knows things that no one else knows. Raziel and God are the only two entities in the cosmos that know things that have not been revealed by either of them on occasion. It is said that Raziel has secrets that even the other angels are scared of. A notable example of this is, depending on the story, Raziel went ahead after Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden. He gave them his book, which contained all of the secret knowledge that they would need. And his goal was not to give out magic or anything like that. His goal was to allow Adam and Eve to find a way back into God's graces and get back to the Garden of Eden, which was Raziel's goal. Now, that being said, the angels collectively went, dude, you just gave them every fucking secret under God's creation. What is wrong with you? And they proceeded to try to take the book and throw it into an ocean, which was then recovered. And it was then passed on to Enoch, who then becomes Metatron. See Book of Enoch for that lore. And then Metatron ends up bringing the book back to heaven, revisions are made, and then Raphael brings it to Noah, and then it is said to be carried on through Noah's lineage and eventually makes its way to Solomon, where there are more additions to the book, and presumably that book is back after Solomon makes after Solomon fails and doesn't do what God likes. God presumably sends the angels to go all right, get Solomon's book. Give me that book back. Raziel, you're keeping the book for this time. You can give out individual secrets, but you cannot give the book away back to mankind. We're not doing that anymore. That is kind of the mythology there. I'm missing points, and I'm missing, I'm going over in very brief terms here. But when it comes to Raziel, most, if not all, evocation reports I have read see that Raziel has a massive book that is infinitely large. And what I mean by that is it has an infinite page count. And the reason why this is interesting is because this is a feature shared with one other entity on this entire list, and he is probably one of the more interesting of the entities. Now, Raziel is going to be the Archangel of Chokmah, so if you are more inclined to work with angels instead of pagan gods, which I know some people in my audience are, thou shalt not have any other gods before the Most High. Keep that in mind, but the Most High is Vig, and we already talked about that in the Cult Christianity video. But Raziel is going to be the one you're going to want to work with if you're more pagan god phobic. I would say that he is probably more, up your alley if you are looking for secret wisdom. go to Raziel if you are not a fan of pagan gods. That being said, if you are a fan of pagan gods, or you are okay with the Golden Dawn tradition, there is another entity who fits a very similar role, has a very big book, and has one of the weirdest circumstances for why he is allowed to not show up for an evocation. That would be the Egyptian god Thoth. Thoth, the god of knowledge, who, if you are reading it in the Greek, it is Owu. O-W-O. Make of that what you will. I thought that was a funny meme. But I would just like to point out that Thoth is, as I mentioned, Thoth has the Book of Thoth. The Book of Thoth is secret magic that you can do to allow you to do such wonderful things as listen and hear the thoughts and minds of animals, which is pretty easy to do. You have the ability to go ahead and you have the ability to learn all of these different things. You can become a master of your domain. You can conjure storms. You can do all kinds of magic. But as I mentioned, Thoth also has an excuse for why he might not show up. And the reason why is because Thoth has a secretary. Yes, I know. Thoth is the only god on this list who will not show up sometimes, and in his place, a woman will show up. Now, depending on the mythology, it's going to be either his wife Ma'at or his daughter Seshat. And the reason why this happens is because it is apparently Thoth is so busy governing everything in the cosmos, sometimes he just cannot show up for an invocation or an evocation, so he sends one of his family members who is capable of doing this while he is organizing his books. You can, theoretically, if you are good at astral projection and scrying and astral travel, you can go visit Thoth in his library, and I will say, this is the closest thing I've ever seen to an actual Akashic library, is the Library of Thoth, which almost no one can get into, and if you can get into it, it is said that you can only get into certain sections that Thoth allows you to, because Thoth knows everything that you're going to do. He is the god of wisdom and knowledge. He knows this kind of thing, and he invented magic and writing. Noteworthy, if you are a ceremonial magician, is that the Golden Dawn actually does have an invocation of Thoth, so if you are a fan of working with the ceremonial, the occult systems of the Golden Dawn and the Thelema system, there is a dedicated ritual for invoking Thoth. That being said, I cannot in good conscience talk about this entire list of the magic and wisdom gods without talking about Hermes. Now, most of people will know that Hermes is also Mercury. Mercury, the Hermetic school, is always going to be the Hermes school. And the reason why Hermes is up on this list is because Hermes is the traditional god of wisdom, magic, and knowledge that was looked upon whenever you needed to go to a source for the occult understanding and the hidden knowledge of things. And the reason for this is because Hermes is one of the gods of magic. Keep in mind, he was also in the same lineup with Hekate, but he was the male god of magic, so this is going to be more ceremonial magic. Hekate is more the god of witchcraft, but the reason why this connection is very solid is because of the most important writer in all of occultism, Hermes Trismagistus. Hermes Trismagistus is the pseudonym for a particular aspect of Hermes, and this translates to thrice greatest Hermes. This is Hermes Trismagistus, who invented astrology, alchemy, and magic as we understand it. He is the person who is credited with inventing ceremonial magic. Now, was it actually Hermes Trismagistus? Probably not. But is it possible that he was invoked in the creation of these things? It is absolutely possible that during a ceremony, one of the mystery cults associated with Hermes ended up getting this aspect that they had not known and learning all of this various magic that was rediscovered from the Babylonians, because let's be real, that seems to have been a recurring theme in Greek philosophy and magic, that they just found stuff from the Babylonians and just kind of gave credit to them. So, be that as it may, it is possible that this is how it happened. However, if you want to learn ceremonial magic and you want to learn how to learn it from the master, so to speak, it is best to go ahead and invoke the god form of Hermes Trismagistus, the greatest magician who maybe lived. Okay? Okay. And in case you are wondering, all Hermetic magic comes from schools and mystery traditions related to Hermes Trismagistus. This is the origin point for all of what we would consider ceremonial magic in the Hellenistic world. It all comes from these mystery schools. So yeah, for those of you wanting my thoughts on all of the entities listed here, Odin, Hekate, Thoth, Raziel, Hermes, all of them are really cool. All of the entities here are really cool entities. I have heard nothing but good results from the people who work with them. The only thing I would say is that I have heard that some people are more compatible with certain spirits than others. In particular, some spirits are just not going to like you if you're not in alignment with their pantheon. That being said, I tried to go ahead and list a lot of the major ones. These are the major ones from the Western traditions that I am familiar with. I didn't put in any of the Celtic stuff. I'm not familiar enough with the Celtic stuff to speak on it. I didn't put in anything from like voodoo or hoodoo or Kimbanda. I didn't talk about any of the ATR stuff because I'm not familiar with that and I don't have the licenses to talk about that and I would get it wrong. That being said, these are just the ones I know personally. Hopefully you guys get some interesting, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little rundown. So that being said, I have been Dave, the Amateur Magus. Once again, if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe and share this around with people you think might enjoy it. If you really enjoy this content, subscribe down in the Patreon link down in the description. Community Discord link is also down there if you want to join the community Discord. I'm usually there answering questions. And lastly, hope you're having a good day. If you're not having a good day, hope your day gets better. Take it easy.